Welcome to the Wareham Planning Board meeting of Monday, March 10th, being held in the Multi-Service Center, Room 520, 48 Marion Road, and being broadcast by Wareham Media. It's 6 o'clock. We'll do a roll call and call the meeting to order, starting with Zoom. Ms. Gleason.
Jane Gleason here.
Mr. Baptiste.
Baptiste here.
Julie Moran here.
Sam Corbett here.
And the chair, Carl Schultz, is here. Having a quorum, the meeting is called to order at 6 p.m. The first order of business, well, before we start the first order of business, is Josh going to come tonight? Ken, are you on?
Ken is on.
Yes, I'm on.
Okay, so will Josh be here tonight, or are you representing the planning office?
No, Josh should be here tonight as well.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start. The first order of business is we have 2 sets of minutes to approve. I did have a question about some others, but let's just deal with these 2. We have some back minutes to catch up on, and we're trying to clear the backlog. February 26, 2024, discussion.
Move we accept.
Hearing no discussion, I'm looking for a motion. I have a motion from Sam Corbett to accept the
Second.
minutes as submitted, and a second by
Julie Moran.
Julie Moran. I'll get there. My brain is slow tonight.
Okay.
All in favor, starting with Ms. Gleason?
Aye.
Mr. Baptiste?
Mike Baptiste, aye.
Julie Moran, aye.
Sam Corbett, aye.
And the chair votes aye. The motion to accept the minutes of February 26, 2024 as submitted was passed unanimously. Minutes of April 8th, 2024. Discussion?
Make a motion we accept.
We have a motion from Mr. Corbett to accept the minutes of April 8th, 2024 as submitted.
Second.
Second by Ms. Moran. All in favor?
Jane Gleason, aye.
Baptiste, aye.
Julie Moran, aye.
Sam Corbett, aye.
And the chair votes aye, so the motion to accept the minutes of April 8th, 2024 as submitted passed unanimously. And given that Josh is not here, we won't discuss any other backlog of minutes at the moment. Okay, let me just get my notes here. I really was hoping that Josh was going to be here. Okay, so the next order of business is the request for the review of a modification request to the site plan review of 6 Tony Lane. We did a site plan review, special permit, so we have a modification request. We'll give one
There he
moment.
is.
Please let the records show that Mr. Faraday arrived at 6:03. We'll give him a moment to catch his breath, and we'll get started. You may come forward and we'll get started, but
Thank you. May I pass that?
not yet,
No.
just because I want to get the notes to say exactly what's, you can
Absolutely.
read off what you're going to hand out.
Awesome.
Okay. We'll give Josh a second here.
You're good.
Okay, we're going to talk about 6 Tony's Lane. Okay, so please introduce yourself, please spell your last name, and state your role.
Wonderful. My name is Sarah Greenberg, last name Greenberg. I'm from GHD. We are the design engineers and construction engineers overseeing the current construction work at 6 Tony's Lane, under which there is a site plan approval, and the purpose of tonight is to request a slight modification to the site plan, specifically of a vehicle storage building relocation.
So are you testifying as an expert tonight?
I am, yes, I'm representing the
So
GHD, the engineer.
Please rise and raise your right hand and swear that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help you whoever you speak to. Yes.
My testimony is truth, So help me.
Thank you.
Whoever.
Thank you. Well, I didn't want to put words in your mouth, but we just want you to swear that you're because you're making expert testimony, so that's,
Okay, yes.
so thank you.
Wonderful, yes, thank you.
Okay.
And what I have to pass out, should I describe that or no?
Please read each document. Patty, for the record, we're going to capture the documents that are being handed out.
The first document is the decision of the Wareham Planning Board for 6 Tony's Lane, viewpoint ID number plan-24-3. The second item is the overall site plan drawings that were submitted with this site permit. Specifically, there are 2 drawings being submitted that were submitted with that approved.
So these are the original plans.
Original, correct.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. C103 and C112, those are the drawing numbers. The third document, if you will, is the proposed site plan relocation that we are here to discuss, specifically drawing C112.
Thank you. And then the decision that we're being asked to make this evening is whether this is a minor or major modification before we proceed.
Sounds good, yes.
And that is a majority vote of the board, Ken?
Yes, that's a majority vote.
Okay, it's not a supermajority.
No, it's not.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
As I'm not there and able to see what you're handing out, I'm looking at the original drawings online, and interestingly enough, what's posted online does not include, what was it, 00113 was one of the ones that was being revised. It does include 00112.
Are you satisfied that you have what we're looking at?
I have the original one. 112, I guess, is the blow up of what you're looking at.
Josh, in the package you sent out, did you include the modification? I don't remember.
Yeah.
All right, so there should be an email, Jane, from Josh that had the modification.
Okay.
Correct, these are the same documents, yes.
Okay, all right, so please make your
All right, thank you.
presentation.
So originally, when the site plan was submitted and approved, the vehicle storage building, one of the buildings that is being constructed under this new construction project, was located outside the property fence line, right at the entrance to the property at 6 Tony's Lane. If you're looking at C00103, you can see that it's sitting right outside the fence line, and it requires tree clearing, and there were, of course, trees that had to be, diameters had to be measured, et cetera. And the modification, if you go to the revised plan, the third document I mentioned, C0012, you can see that we are proposing relocating it, now bringing it within the existing fence line, so as to minimize any impact to neighbors, and also it no longer would require any tree clearing. And so in support of that high-level description, there is nothing within the building that's changing. It's physically the same building, and it's being relocated to a different location on the existing site. And the original stormwater drainage area and the new total drainage area are similar. The total area before was 0.53 acres, and the proposed relocation is 0.52 acres. In addition, the runoff and infiltration amount that is being handled by, as you can see on the approved plan, you can see that it was handled by a leaching pit basin system consisting of 3 systems, just in the sort of south of the building. That same quantity of leaching pits will handle it in the relocated site. So there is no change to quantity of structures that are needed to manage the stormwater. Yes.
When you're done, I have a
Sorry.
question on this point.
Sure, I can pause. No, I can pause. Please
So
go.
I'm
Thank
looking
you.
at the 2 plans.
Yeah.
What I think is the original one dated 2024 of May.
Yep.
there are 3 little circles.
Correct.
In the new plan, there's only 1 little circle.
In the new plan, if you look at you'll notice that they got separated, so
They're now
it's a
two- I see
change.
them. Okay,
Yeah.
they're now up in the-
Yes,
okay.
absolutely, yeah. 2 to the north now, and
see
1 to
them.
the south. So quantity hasn't changed, but the one system has been
Different
split up.
location. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And I do have values of the quantity that's being managed, if that's of anyone's interest. But since the stormwater runoff and the drainage area is similar in quantity, and there is no increase in storage volume required, and it minimizes impact to neighbors, no longer requires tree clearing, and is located now inside the existing property bounds, that is why we are hoping to move forward with this as a minor or major, depending on what the board decides.
Okay. Is that the
I think that's some of it, but I'll
substance?
take questions, yeah, if there's
Okay,
anything.
I have several questions. But I'll go last. Jane, do you have any questions?
Sorry, I was muted. I think that this looks like an improvement, pulling it inside the existing fence, and away from the neighbors. So I think that this makes sense.
Thank you. Mike?
I think looks good.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the access, but it looks like that works. Certainly an improvement, not losing trees, moving away. Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Farady, is there any comment from the Conservation Commission? Does this change impact the conservation determination at all?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. Not that I don't trust the project engineer, but has the town engineer, A&M, Allen and Majors, verified the stormwater calculations?
New ones, no.
Then I'm very uncomfortable taking the calculations at face value. That's my comment. So I believe we should have a report from the engineer verifying the stormwater calculations. That's my input to the board.
Yeah.
Mr. Buckland, do you have a comment or recommendation?
If you find it insubstantial after a review by A&M, I think that would be fine. Your 53G account has to be appropriately funded to allow the review, the second or third or fourth review by A&M.
Okay. Do you believe on face value that that review is required?
Only if you believe it is required.
That's not what I asked. I already said that I believed it was required. I asked, okay, thank you. Mr. Farady, any recommendation or comment from you?
If the board would like to see Allen and Major review it, I'm sure that wouldn't be a problem, but on face value, the project looks appropriate. No tree removal, bringing the garage inside the fenced area of municipal wastewater pollution. I think it's a good project.
Yeah, I have no question about any of those items. It was really the stormwater calculation, which I'm not qualified to evaluate.
I agree.
So I'm looking for a motion.
Unreasonable.
I'm sorry?
I don't think that that's an unreasonable request, just to have another pair of eyes on it.
Okay, so what I would like then is a motion that we continue to discuss this item. I'm thinking of the motion, which is refer this to Allen and Major for a review specifically of the changes, but primarily the stormwater calculations, and just confirm that redistributing the stormwater basins doesn't have any impact. And then I would agree with all the other comments that if that is in fact the case, we could come back and just view this as a minor modification.
Can we
So-
prove it on condition?
I don't want to do it because I won't have seen the report and had the opportunity to review the report
In the public,
in
Right.
public.
right.
But yes, we could concede, if that's the motion you want to make.
I'm getting the feeling that's not what the board wants to do.
No, we're in discussion, so right now, Mike, what do you think? I would like to just take one more bite of the apple and just get the stormwater calculations confirmed and.
Which I
come
think
back-
can be done in short order.
Yeah, it should not be,
It's
I mean, I don't think it's that big a deal, and we could just put it on the agenda for the next meeting
Yeah.
for 2 weeks and make a determination, and then if you could fund the 53G account, whatever, it shouldn't be that much. I don't know how much is left in the current account. There's usually some money, unless we gave that away, Sam, in your last.
Did not.
I'm kidding. Okay, so a
I knew you were
motion.
kidding, Carl.
A motion to refer this, the review of the changes, particularly the stormwater calculation, and for it to come back for a determination at the next meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion for Mr. Corbett, a second for Mr. Baptiste. All in favor?
Jane
Jane?
Gleason, aye.
Julie Moran, aye.
Sam Corbett, aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you very much. I think
Wonderful. Thank you,
if Phil looks at this, it should be a fairly,
Not a
or
problem.
whoever's doing it these days, so.
Not a problem. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so, for Sonia, we'll put this on the agenda again for the next meeting.
Agreed.
Josh, you'll reach out to Phil or someone from the office?
Yes, sir.
The meeting would be the 27th, right? No, 24th, I'm sorry, 3/24, assuming we have a report from A&M. Okay. The next item, item 3 on the agenda, 30-19, David and Lisa Mather, release a performance bond, Quentin Way, 24 Oak Street. Is there anyone here to speak to this? Josh, you want to introduce? I know what this is about, or do you want to introduce? Do you know what this is about?
Yeah, let me just pull up the series of emails because I think they're important to the proceeding.
Did the board get all those emails? The board, I don't know that the board got any context on this decision. I mean, I did because Sonia spoke with me. It's a pretty straightforward decision if we give them the context, I
I'm good.
believe. Do you know what it's about?
I'm good to go.
Okay, is any, well, let's have Josh read it into the record and we'll make a decision.
Okay. So, Quinton Way, it was a project that had expired in 2019. The project was reapproved under the planning board, but the covenants for the 2019 were never released. And their stance is when the new project became in effect, the old covenants should have been released at that time. So they've asked to come in front of the planning board to get your opinion on that matter.
But they're not here.
And anyone online? No? Then you're correct, no one is here.
Okay, but I think we can discuss it. Either from the planning office, either Josh or Mr. Buckland, I agree that we should keep the paperwork correct. We should release the covenant. Is this the proper procedure? Mr.
Yes,
Buckland?
this is the proper procedure.
Thank you. That's what I thought, but good. Okay, so I would like, now how do we identify this so that we release the right covenant? Because there's a covenant for the new project as well. So
Is
we need,
30-19 the old?
I don't, that's why I said,
Yeah.
how do we specifically identify the covenant we're releasing for the motion?
You can call it out as the previously approved covenant.
Didn't the first one run out of time?
Yes, it expired, and then they came back and they
2019?
represented, yes.
Yes.
And I remember the whole history. I just want to make sure we don't release the new covenant.
Yeah, so Witten 30-19 is probably the old one.
I
but-
don't know.
Right, but we need to
I'm-
confirm.
I'm trying to grab that information
Okay,
for you
good.
now.
Sam, did you give them their money back on that one?
We're going to follow it closely.
Okay.
So it appears that 3019 is the one that you want to be closing.
And what-
The new one that was approved is 20-23.
Thank you. So a motion to, I think, to be clear, I'd like a motion to release the covenant for 3019 David and Lisa Mather, Quentin Way, 2024, the expired, it was a subdivision, right? The expired subdivision permit for 3019 David and Lisa Mather. I think by saying expired and the project number will be clear which covenant we're releasing, so.
So moved.
So a motion by Mr. Corbett to release the covenant for the expired subdivision, 3019. A second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Baptiste. All in favor?
Jane Gleason, aye.
Mike Baptiste, aye.
Julie Marie and I.
Sam Corbett, aye.
And the chair votes aye. The motion carries 5-0-0. Okay, so Josh, I guess you can notify the applicant. Okay, item 4. The planning board received an open meeting law complaint, and we had 14 days or 20 business days to respond, and we have to vote and discuss in open meeting, which we are doing this evening. Josh, can you summarize? I was a little confused about what the complaint listed. So basically, my understanding of the complaint is there were several old sets of minutes from meetings in 2024 related to some solar projects that were never formally approved and accepted in the past. But it also went on to say more than that, and I'm not sure what we're exactly responding to. So regarding the minutes that were itemized, we've covered all those now. They've all been closed, is that correct? All the ones itemized?
Did you vote on the two this evening?
We did.
Yes.
Okay, then yes, all the minutes that were identified in the complaint are now approved and will be posted to the website tomorrow.
Yeah, excuse me, Julie has to sign them
I
tonight.
did.
Yeah, okay. But the complaint went on and made a more general
Yeah.
complaint about process and not doing it in 30 days and,
So furthermore, in the complaint, they identified that there were other sets of minutes that were approved outside of the ideal timeline.
right.
And I think it was just a reference to the planning board hasn't been up and up. And it was just giving some historical context.
Okay, I reject the idea that we're not being up and up. We're volunteers doing the best we can.
And
So how do we respond to that portion of the complaint?
I don't think you need to. I mean, I think it was just general information that they were giving to the Attorney General.
Okay, so I would like, before we vote on this, I would like a statement of support from the board that we will continue to do our best to process minutes in a timely fashion according to the law, and as we have been doing. I believe there are a couple of sets of minutes that are 30 days out, like from January, that we haven't gotten to yet. But I state, again, as we stated in our objective statement for the beginning of the year, that our goal is to follow process procedure of the law, and we're doing the best we can. And so I would just like a statement from the board that we're going to continue to do that.
I agree. I think it was an inadvertent oversight, certainly not intentional. And we, I think, are very cognizant and really try to the best of our ability to follow the open meeting law, including minutes, posting of minutes.
Having
timely.
served on many committees in the past and 3 at the present time, this committee does a whole lot better than a lot of other committees do.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Sam, Mike, any comment?
Wish I knew who made the complaint.
Ms.,
It's public record, but I'll,
yes.
Ms. Gleason, any comment?
Yeah, I think that we're doing the best that we can. And people are welcome to, if we've made errors, they're welcome to let us know before, sometime short of going to the Attorney General.
Right. And any citizen who has a problem with us is welcome to volunteer to help us do better.
Yeah, that's true.
We actually have an associate membership position open, so I'm looking for people to assist. So,
There are openings all over the board.
So-
on
Many boards.
dozens of committees.
so any citizen, by the way, any citizen who has a concern is welcome to come forward to any planning board meeting and bring those concerns to the public, or to the public, make us aware, and we'll do our best to respond. Okay, thank you. So what's the appropriate action we need to take now?
One
Chuck?
last thing, I think that we don't have a record of being non-responsive. I think that it was an error, it was an oversight, and again, let us know and we'll correct it. But
Thank you.
it'd be
And-
nice to skip the Attorney General part.
Right, and I do, we need to get posted, but this year, the planning board adopted a set of guiding principles and objectives about communication, about community involvement, and we outlined a whole set of principles that we're trying to adhere to. And I encourage the citizens, Josh, we should make sure that that all gets posted. But we went through it in a public meeting, and we're committed to working with the community and the developers and the landowners to do this as best we can. So thank you. So Josh, what is the action we need to take this evening?
So what I would like you to do is take a vote to move the response onto the staff of the planning office.
Okay. All right. So believing that we have addressed the issue in the complaint, I would like a motion to move the response, and there's several response. We need to respond to the applicant, we need to respond to the AG, and anyone else, Josh? Okay, so we need to formally respond to the applicant, we need to formally respond to the AG.
General.
I would like a motion to refer that action to the planning office.
Before you make the motion, Josh, I'll give you a copy of this. I just made some changes. One of them was that you had said significant steps forward, and my changes, we took immediate steps. As soon as we were aware of this, we immediately took action. I think that's important for us to make sure we point that out. So
Thank you.
I'll give these to,
Okay. And
Comments
just one
to
word. I know you sent me the email. I looked for it. I can't find it, so just resend me your email. But I read it, and I was happy.
and Josh, it looks like what we're also indicating is on these last round of minutes, we will post them immediately.
Yep.
Yep, so.
Okay. So a motion to refer action to the planning office? A
Second.
motion by Sam Corbett, a second by Ms. Moran. All in favor?
Jane Gleason, aye.
Baptiste, aye.
Julie?
Sorry, Julie Moran, I was reading my comment.
Sam Corbett, aye.
And the chair votes aye. The motion passes 5-0-0.
And now that you've passed that on to staff, I sent out draft letters. You need to respond to the complainant and the AG. I've supplied you with those letters, and barring the few edits that Julie had, I will send those out
Just
tomorrow.
resend it. I know you sent it to me. I absolutely do. I just couldn't find it getting ready for the meeting tonight. Thank you. All right. So we're going to move on to discussion of Fearing Hill. Is Mr. Shanahan on? Okay. Okay, so the plan for tonight is to continue this public hearing. However, before we continue it, we had an action item that I want to just bring forward. At the February 10th public hearing, I presented a draft statement of work built on the statement of work from Miloš Pečovský to evaluate the battery energy storage system. It was based on a previous statement of work we had him do The board made a couple of requests, most specifically to sort of broaden it to say, okay, if we can't evaluate the specific equipment, because the applicant may be unable to identify the specific equipment that will be proposed, that in the absence of that, that we get a recommendation of performance standards that the equipment should, any equipment that's installed should meet, and then we could then, if necessary, appropriately condition it as such. So I tried to word it that way. I distributed a draft of that. Josh, I also sent a draft of that to Mr. Shanahan. He had asked you to do that, and I knew it was late in the day, so I just forwarded it to him. Any discussion on the revised draft?
Nope, I think you covered what we raised at the meeting where we discussed this.
Jane, you had some points. I tried to capture your points as well.
I think that performance standards and getting some help in determining what they are is the best route forward, because we've had this discussion before, but it's very difficult to work with a proprietary item at this early stage in a project. The company could go bust, the company could get sold, the product could be discontinued or changed or something during the time period, the lapse of time, when the project eventually gets built. So I think that having performance standards that they have to meet, it doesn't matter who the manufacturer is so much, and it doesn't matter, what the model number is, as long as they meet those performance standards. And I think getting some serious professional help with that is a good idea.
Okay, thank you. Mike, any comment?
Nope.
Okay, so I think what I'm looking for tonight is a motion to request that the planning office forward this statement of work. Oh, and the other change I made, Ken had asked me, I had some terms and conditions in the version I presented on the 10th. Statement of work doesn't, terms and conditions is not appropriate for a statement of work. That goes in the standard contract, which this is attached to. We have an existing contract with Mr. Pachowski. This would be an exhibit that would be attached to that contract. So I'm looking for a motion to request the planning office to forward this to Mr. Pachowski for his comment and for an estimate, and then we can take it up.
Yeah, so moved.
I have a motion from Ms. Moran.
Second.
A second by Mr. Corbett. All in favor? Oh,
Jane Gleason, aye.
Mike?
Baptiste, aye.
Julie Moran, aye.
Sam Corbett, aye.
And the chair votes aye. Now, as this is a public hearing, I would like, and the applicant has requested a continuance, so unless anyone in the audience specifically wants to stand up and make a comment this evening, the applicant is not here, so I would prefer not to do that, and if we just take the continuation request, which we did get formally from the applicant. I don't see anybody in the ether, so I hear no objection from the citizens, so I would like a motion.
Could we make a statement of when it's going to be up again?
Yeah, we need to, exactly. What date did he ask us to continue it to?
April 10th,
7th?
whatever that Monday is. Second Monday.
It was in April, right?
Yeah,
Yep. April 14th is your first meeting.
Right, and that is not town meeting, right?
No, it's not.
No, it'd be the second
The
Monday.
this project got laid on top of a special town meeting, so, yeah, okay. So I would like a motion to continue 1024 Wareham MM3 LLC site plan review with special permit, 91 and 101 Fearing Hill Road, Wareham MA, to the meeting of April 14th.
So moved.
second.
A motion from Mr. Corbett, a second from Ms. Moran. All in favor?
Jane Gleason, aye. Sorry.
Mike?
Mike Baptiste, aye.
Julie Moran, aye.
Sam Corbett, aye.
And the chair votes aye. So 500, this will be continued until April 14th. Okay, the next item on the agenda. So, Josh, I need the Sonia didn't bring the box, so I need the language to open the public hearing.
Okay. Give me 1 second just to pull it up.
So we have 2 public hearings on proposed zoning bylaws. Once I read the public hearing into the record, we'll take them individually in order. The box is in here with the notice in it.
Okay. Would you like me to bring it to you, or you want me to just read it?
I would, unless anyone has a complaint, normally I would read it, but if it's acceptable, I'll have Josh read the notice of public hearing for the record, and then we'll take a vote to open the public hearing.
Notice is hereby given pursuant to Section 5 of the State Zoning Act, Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, that the Wareham Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Monday, March 10th, 2025 at 6 p.m. to discuss the following proposed amendments to the zoning bylaw. The way it's written up, it identifies both of them, so I'll just read them both in now. First article allows solar fields only in the BDOD district. To see if the town will vote to limit large-scale ground-mounted solar installations to the BDOD in the town zoning bylaws. And then the second article is to enact an accessory dwelling unit bylaw and to remove the moratorium. To see if the town will vote to enact the ADU bylaw, given the act and draft regulations from the state, and remove the one-year moratorium on accessory dwelling units.
Thank you. So we're going to open them one at a time. We'll take them in order. I'd like a motion to open the public hearing. And what's the article number for the solar BDOD district?
We don't have one yet.
Doesn't have a number yet. So motion to open the article to allow solar fields only in the BDOD district.
So moved.
Motion by Sam Corbett,
Second?
second by Ms. Moran. All in favor? Jane?
Jane Gleason, aye. Sorry.
Mr. Baptiste?
Baptiste, aye.
Julie Moran, aye.
Sam Corbett, aye.
And the chair votes aye, so we have 500. The public hearing is open. So at the beginning of the public hearing, we have had several presentations on this bylaw, but Josh, if you want to just give an overview so we establish a baseline, and then we'll have comment.
Sure. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind. I know we've had discussion about the context of the bylaw revision, so what I will do is I will share the maps that I produced to begin with. And then if we want to get into discussion about the actual proposed changed bylaws, we can do that as well. All right, so for simplicity, the green outline that you see on the left-hand side is everywhere that large-scale ground-mounted solar installations are allowed by right, site plan review, special permit.
Not by right, by site
Well,
plan review,
Special permit.
special permit.
Yes. And then on the right-hand side, highlighted in yellow, is the business development overlay district, where the proposal for ground-mounted, large-scale ground-mounted solar installations will be limited to moving forward. There is a small exception to that. There are a few different site uses that the board has identified as potential good locations for solar, and we've allowed those to remain in play moving forward.
For example, brownfields.
Brownfields, open gravel pits is an area. There was an item number 7 in the bylaw that said previously disturbed area that we're suggesting be removed just because that's so vague in definition.
Except, okay, I'll go back. I thought we had actually defined it in Article 16, but,
Okay.
okay, I'm okay with removing it, so.
Okay, and I'll explain why, but I would actually prefer if you guys didn't take a vote on approving these tonight and continued to your next meeting. But it's more in relation to the ADUs and not this. But,
Okay. Can you then give the justification that we're presenting for making this change?
yeah, and I would like to do that by presenting a different map. Because I think it plays into the exact reason why. So in context, the proposed changes to the business development overlay district, in my review of other communities, I've found that area seems size-wise comparable to other communities, and other communities have established solar zoning overlay districts as well. So when I look at the amount of land in Wareham and what's being proposed, it seems to pass the sniff test, so to speak.
And just for context, we're updating the inventory of projects, and I know Mr. Buckland sent me a draft of the revised inventory, but we have 19 projects that are already built and another 7 projects that have been approved, which would not be affected by this change. So 26 solar projects encompassing, I think, about 600 acres of land within that green area, already planned, built, or not subject to this restriction. One other thing that I want, because we get a lot of comments, the current bylaws, and this doesn't change it, this does not affect small-scale solar projects, rooftop solar for houses. It also does not affect solar over parking lots. It does not affect rooftop solar over an industry. So those changes, people have said, can we do solar in the power lines? If the owner would like to do solar in the power lines, doesn't change that. Next to the railroad tracks, doesn't change that. Those are all permitted under another section of the bylaw, and this is just large-scale ground-mounted solar arrays,
Yeah.
just spread out over the
clarification.
ground. And then one other clarification I want to make is, under the current Massachusetts bylaw, battery energy storage systems are considered large-scale ground-mounted solar arrays. As I understand the article, Mass General Law 90, or 9, Chapter 40.
Right.
So this doesn't abrogate Mass General Law.
So the map that I've presented before you, just like you had said, Carl, all the red outlines are on the ground as built today, and the projects highlighted in blue are, I'll say, somewhere in the permit litigation process. So as you can see, these are affecting Wareham in many different areas. I could pull up the zoning map, but they're located in residential districts. They're located in our commercial districts. There are 2 located in our industrial district as well. So, we've heard outcries from the residents saying, these don't belong in residential districts, and we are proposing it within the business development overlay district to address those concerns.
Any discussion from the board?
No.
Mike?
This time,
Jane, any comment?
I'm
Can
good.
I just, one question, Joss? This is really helpful for our folks here and people that may be watching. Is it and we know we'll have a lot of folks who will arrive not having seen this. Is it a thought to make sure we have this available for town meeting?
This town meeting will be very different than the last town meeting. And yes, it will be more clearly interpretable.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right.
Never had a doubt.
So, hearing no discussion from the board, Ken or Josh, any other comment from the planning office? Hearing none, I will open this to public comment. Please keep your comments respectful. Generally, we say 2 minutes. I'll be flexible depending on how late the evening goes, but please,
Tiny bit flexible.
tiny bit flexible. Please, raise your hand and then please come forward, state your name, and spell your last name.
Sit down.
Seat, you have to speak into the, you were like ready to go.
Welcome, sir.
Hello. I appreciate you guys. My name's Matthew Buckingham. I live on 11 Crane Landing Road.
Can you spell Buckingham, please?
Buckingham.
Thank you.
I agree with Josh's outlay on this, believe it or not. I'm one who doesn't like any of this, but to save face and save the rest of the town from being destroyed, I definitely think that Josh put a lot of thought into this, and I approve it, and I live in Solar City. That should be our district, Solar District.
You live closer to anybody.
They're in my backyard. I get a golf ball to most of them, yes, sir. But I'm utilizing them, keep them, but to save onset, like he said, to make sure that stays a village and Little Harbor stays the way it is. I mean, you could put it all on golf courses. You don't have to take sand or nothing, but you guys would not have that. It'd be an eyesore. It would detriment the way you guys, way of life. And I think everybody feels that way, even the 66 citizens that live down in Tyhornet. Just because it's 66 of us, it's kind of like, let's save the rest of the community for the rest. And I agree with Josh. And as long as they don't get into any other part of the town and destroy what makes Wareham, Wareham. Because sea and metal is not what makes Wareham, Wareham. The beaches do, the cranberry bogs, the oceans, and the woods and the gas lines. So I just want to say I appreciate Josh doing this and trying to save face for the rest of the town.
Thank you so much for your comment.
Thank you.
Eric.
So, Carl, I did have a citizen comment period on Thursday. I held an open discussion here in 520. I invited residents to come and talk about these two articles. I would say it was pretty productive. There was one conversation that came up at that meeting as well at town meeting, and that was a proposal to add the industrial zone into the allowed area for solar. You can see I just added the industrial zone onto the map here in pink. Like I said, there are two projects already located in there. If it's something the board wants to discuss adding in the future, I think there's a conversation there. My only hesitation for that would be it's intended to be our industrial zone, and the industrial zone gives great opportunity for industry to come in and create business, and I would hate to see those opportunities taken up by a solar field.
So, and to supplement or complement that, if an industry were to come in and build in that area and they wanted to put solar over their parking lot, they could. If they wanted to put solar on the rooftop of their facility, they could. This doesn't prevent that.
Yep, and there's also, I've seen some communities taking the stance of having rooftop or elevated solar as a requirement of some of their permits.
Okay, we haven't
So,
gotten that far. So,
We haven't had that discussion yet, but that's also a route we could go if the planning board so chooses. There's
Thank you.
communities doing it.
and please, I think the citizens should be aware that this planning board has proposed improvements to the solar bylaw at each of our town meetings for the last several years. Some have been approved by the AG, some haven't, but we're continuing to refine the bylaws to meet the needs of the town as the changing legal landscape changes. So we're trying to respond appropriately. So, thank you. I think, so the point I would take from that is if we want to improve this, or if we get this implemented and we find a reason to change or improve, we can, and we have, and we will continue to do so. So, thank you. Mr. Lentala.
Yes, Eric Lintilla, 15 Squirrel Island Road in West Wareham,
Can you spell your last name for Patty, please?
Lintala.
Thank you.
Wanted to thank Josh for hosting that meeting last week. It was very productive. It was informal. We were able to discuss things in a very open manner. I would encourage more of these meetings. Also, just a little bit, unfortunately, it was also at the same time there were other meetings going on that were important that people wish they could have been here as well. So maybe just, and some people, it was in the middle of the day, so maybe, timing a little bit differently, but this type of discussion, we were able to discuss a whole lot of things, particularly this project, and went into other things, but we won't go there tonight, just focusing specifically on this. It's been out to the public review now for a while. I've been to the office to visit Josh, talk about it as well. Others, we've discussed other possibilities, the addition into the industrial area, and there's some other ideas floating around. I highly encourage, there's nothing else on the table right now, and I think this is this is a great step forward. It's just a step, as Josh mentioned. Adjustment could be made, things can be changed, but we have to do something right now, and I think this is a great start to that. People have had opportunity to come in and talk and voice their opinions, but at this point, I still think it's the best thing that's on the table at the moment, but change can happen. I think other people have some ideas, those can come forward. Like I said, this is just the first step to that, and I want to thank Josh for that, and the town for allowing that to happen, and I highly encourage that, a whole heck of a lot more. And one last thing, Carl, you're right that over the time, there's been a lot of progressive steps forward to try to deal with the solar situation, to accommodate those solar companies, the people of Wareham. We've changing some bylaws, adjusting things, new information coming in. It's been an interesting journey as we've gone along, but the board has done really well in facing each of those challenges and discussing them, seeking more information from the public, from experts in the field. So I want to compliment the board on that also. And so, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody in the ether, John?
I have several.
Okay, I have one more hand at the back, and we'll then go to the ether.
Brenda Ekstrom, ECKSTROM,
And your address, please?
64 White Shooting Ave.
Thank you.
First of all, I apologize that I didn't get to Thursday's thing. I had been very sick the month of February, and I was in the hospital when Mr. Faraday had his event. And I really wish I had been there because I wouldn't have to be here tonight. I think it's wonderful that you guys are trying to find a place. My issue is where it is. I have a couple of issues with it. One is the BDOT. Josh just said that the industrial park we're developing business. Well, the BDOT is the Business Development Overlay District. If you're trying to develop business, that's where it should be. I mean, the industrial area, sure, but that's where you put things that you're really not, that's where we put our the only place where you can have a strip club. Not that we have any, but if you wanted one, that's the only place you can do it in town. It's the less attractive things you want is you put in an industrial area. So I think that that would be a far better place to put it. Also, I don't know how many people here know that there are actually two different BDOTs. There's a BDOT 1 and a BDOT 2. One was approved in 2003 and one was approved in 2005. They have different conditions on them. One of them, not the one that they're building everything out now, where we have given them sewer. It's the other one that in the conditions, we guarantee them sewer. So if they're going to build, which I have seen some of the previous designs that they have done, I don't know if you've seen them, but they look very much like the shape of subdivisions. So maybe in 25 years, when the solar fields are no longer working or no longer applicable, they can pull it out. They've got a ready-made, dug down 80 feet of soil, and they've got a ready-made area to do a subdivision where we will have to provide them sewer. So I don't know if anyone has looked at BDOT 1 and BDOT 2 and compared them. That is a huge problem for this town. Now, granted, none of us will be alive for it, but our kids will be. And if we have to build a plant in 25 years that's going to be $100 million, $150 million because we have to provide sewer, because we make a foolish mistake now, it'll wipe out the town. So that's what I'm concerned with. That's my major concern. And I really think that if you're going to do it, industrial area, and I think that whole green thing, how much, if I can ask, how many acres do you need for a large-scale solar field?
So we have it broken down by size, which is 250 kilowatts to 5,000 kilowatts.
Megawatts.
So it doesn't matter
It's not 5,000 megawatts.
So it doesn't matter the size of
Oh,
the.
250, yeah,
Kilowatts.
yeah.
So it doesn't matter the size of the land.
No, it's
No,
not
it's
based
by
on the size
size
of
of
the,
the
it's by
project.
size of the field.
Oh, okay. All right.
But the large end of that is about 10 acres to do a 5 megawatt project.
Okay, so it's the small end to do.
A couple acres, 10 acres, something. We've had projects at the small end of the scale.
All right, because I was going to say the green is a little disingenuous. Like, I couldn't do it on my property. I couldn't put a solar field on my property to be a large scale, but yet my property is included in that. So to show, oh, this whole area, you're putting in neighborhoods of 20,000 square feet houses or 10,000 square feet. There's no way, unless someone came in and bought the whole neighborhood up, there's no way that a solar field could go in there. So I think that's a little disingenuous to say, oh, we could have solar fields all here, so we're not going to put them there. We'll just put them here. It's not really fair because you're trying to scare people with that, and I don't think that's fair. I think that people need to see that, oh, they can go here, here, and here, and like the piecemeal of it, but I don't think to show, oh, they can go all here if they really can't, because people live there. And I'll be back up for the ADUs, but that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Do you mind if I just respond to some of Brenda's points?
You could.
Okay, so the BDOT that is outlined is the BDOT that we recognize on the current zoning map that was created by Serpent. So we do not identify any other BDOTs since we've done the zoning map through Serpent.
And I don't believe there are a B.1 or a B.2 in the zoning bylaws.
There is a question of even if that first B-Dot was ever voted on at town meeting and approved. But regardless of that, the B-Dot that we are discussing is the only one that's identified on our current zoning maps. This proposal is not taking away their right to do any of those development plans that they have. The reason we've identified the B-Dot as, I'll say, an ideal place is because most of the lots located in the B-Dot are already slated for solar development by the developer who established the B-Dot. So we didn't just come up with this idea for the B-Dot out of thin air. This was a letter that was supplied to our town administrator saying, we've identified, or the developer has said, the B-Dot was established for this type of growth. Our business model is changing. We foresee this being mainly solar moving forward. So it's already likely that the town would have solar there. We're just confining it more to that area. In terms of the green area that we've shown on, that is everywhere where solar, large-scale solar is allowed by site plan review special permit. I could not take the time to address how many lots where it could be built.
Absolutely.
But to your point, someone could come in and buy multiple lots in those areas and build solar on them. So even if I had put up a map that said, this lot is exempt because it's too small, the adjoining lots, my map would be highly inaccurate just on the fact that someone could buy multiple lots
Okay.
and create something.
Can I ask just one question then? I'm sorry, just one quick question. When they went to the town administrator, did you, the town administrator, the town planner, any of you think, okay, then let's rewrite the B-Dot? Let's review and rewrite it? So, no.
I can't speak for the town planner or the town
But
administrator.
you, okay. All right, thank you very
I
much.
tell you, that letter was discussed in an open public meeting held by the planning board, and no one brought that comment up.
Okay, and like I said, I apologize.
No, thank you for your, this is,
And I brought it up at town meeting, and I have been literally sick in and out of the hospital since then.
thank you.
Thank you.
I'm thanking you for your input. John?
Kathy and Nancy.
Hi,
Who are we
This-
letting in? Can
Kathy and Nancy.
you state your name, spell your names and your address, please?
Nancy McHale, MCHALE, 87 Fairing Hill Road.
Okay? Or is Kathy going to speak as well, or are you just going to speak, Nancy?
No, just me. I just have a couple of comments. One is to say that there's nothing in this bylaw that would prevent any of the owners of the B-Dot from putting in a business other than solar. Am I correct in that?
That is correct.
Okay, so we're not eliminating the original function of the B-Dot.
No, this is an additional use within the business development overlay district.
Okay, just wanted to make that clear to whatever citizens might still be confused about that. And also to say that there was no article number on this yet, because this looks like it's going to be on the special spring town meeting, which also will be on April 28th, because the April 28th spring town meeting, that warrant has already been closed and posted.
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to eliminate any possible confusion on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. John?
Jimmy Neese.
Mr. Manise, could you state your name, spell your last name, your address, please?
James Munise, M-U-N-I-S-E, 2526 Cranberry Highway. Did you get that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I don't mind the idea. I'm an advocate for increasing the solar by right or not allowed, to be allowed in an area as the industrial park area. There's a couple of large lots in there which are basically have become landlocked or limited access due to development around them. Solar would be beneficial for that. And I know you mentioned about canopies and things other than that, there's a limit on the size you can do those up to. And I don't know if there'd be enough room. There may be enough room on streets or sidewalks within the industrial parks to do something. I also had brought up the question of who owns the roads and sidewalks in the industrial park. Is it the town or the towns through, which used to be Cedar or now the redevelopment, or are they privately owned? A big problem for me is giving one entity, primarily one entity, the sole right to make profit or to develop and capitalize on solar fields in town. If you included something like an industrial park area, doesn't mean you have to do it. It's just saying, okay, that's part of the solar area. If you want to do it, these are the rules, and you don't have to go for a variance or a special permit. It also creates a number of other landowners, gives them the opportunity to possibly develop solar. Not that you can't do it without a variance or whatever, but those are my concerns. I also mentioned general commercial and strip commercial areas within town. They're already been developed. They're kind of, I don't find them aesthetically pleasing. Some of them are kind of nice looking, but others are like, oh my God. So those are my comments. I didn't see much change from town meeting after the comments that were made, and it didn't pass. It's not a bad idea. I just would like to expand it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else, John?
One more. Annie Hayes.
Ms. Hayes, can you identify yourself, spell your last name and your address, please?
She's still muted.
Ms. Hayes, you're muted. We cannot hear you.
Okay.
Now we can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm looking at the big yellow shape in
Excuse me.
Josh's map, and it's
Could you introduce yourself, spell your last name and your address for the
okay,
record,
sure.
please?
Annie Hayes, 52 Farmers Lane. Good evening.
Can you spell your last name, please?
Oh, sorry, Hayes.
Thank you.
Yep. I'm looking at the big yellow shape, and it's looking very large on the map I see. And right next to it are the 1, 2, 3, 4 in litigation make-peace projects that, my understanding, are predominantly cutting the forest, uprooting it, and strip mining. Does that sound right? Not that they've been approved or have gone through, but I think there's a good likelihood that they are, and they are essentially strip mine projects, correct?
That's not relevant to the bylaw.
And I would say
Well,
that.
I think it is, so let me just continue with that point.
No, I'm not going to let you continue. You need to speak to the bylaws. Sand mining is a separate issue.
Okay, well, I foresee that it could happen in the BDOD, and that's why I'm asking.
Okay, but that
how
would
much-
be regulated under a different set of bylaws.
Excuse me?
Mining and sand mining is regulated and permitted not through the solar zoning bylaw, which is what we're discussing.
It seems to me that when it's approved for solar, the forest is removed and the sand is usually removed with the Makepeace projects. And then that space is used for solar. So it is a critical step in their determination of the process of creating a utility. Let me move to I don't want to get bogged down with you, Carl, at the moment. Let me move to the BDOT. Josh, can you give an estimate of the amount of forested land that's there that could be potentially developed into solar if it were special permit reviewed, approved?
I have not done that calculation, but the entirety of the BDOT is 1,300 acres. Most of it is cranberry bogs. You have 2 major highways that run into it, and the remainder is largely forested.
Could you take that yellow color off or go back to the original map? Does it show the more of the land use, the earth map? Okay, great, thank you. So we've got 2 large projects, one smaller one. And then there's that, right above and around the loop, there's that green space. And is that predominantly forest? It looks like it might be, or it might be scrub or something else.
It looks like it's predominantly forested with a river and some wetlands.
Okay. One of the, the underpinning of all of this is, this is over the aquifer. This is, if we keep reading that report on the aquifer is very vulnerable to development, to any kind of extraction of the natural world that gets the aquifer more exposed. And that's happened a lot already in Wareham. So that is a concern that I have, and also with the dual use, there's a lot of potential there for solar over cranberry bogs, which I am not, because I'm so focused on nanoparticle coating, degradation, and potentially reaching the water, the groundwater. I am not convinced that over solar is a great thing, and I'm not convinced that it protects our water. So those are my concerns, land use, solar, and to me, the primary focus of what planning should always be centered around, which is the protection of the water supply, the aquifer. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other ones, John?
That is it.
So, Mr. Faraday, if I understand, you'd like to continue this till April 14th?
Yeah, I don't think we've heard, I don't think we've heard anything tonight that gives me any caution. If the planning board would like to move on this specific article, I'd be okay with that.
Excuse me, can I be heard?
Oh, yes, you didn't raise your hand before, so I didn't call you, but please come forward. State your name, spell your last name, your address, please.
My name is Sherry Quirk, Quirk. My address is 65 Arlington Road in Wareham, and I'm a member of the Select Board as well as liaison to this committee. I just have a question, and I was holding on it because I thought you were going to keep moving on with this as an open item. I do have a question about the exceptions to the solar overlay. Could you go over those again, please?
Yep, let me pull it up. I don't have the best memory, so speaking from memory isn't a strong suit of mine.
And I'm remembering something from memory, and rather than do that, I'd like to just ask you.
So I'll say the proposed restricted siting for the new bylaw reads as follows. Large-scale ground-mounted solar photovoltaic installations ranging in size from 250 kilowatts to 5,000 kilowatts are not permitted in the following districts. We go on to list all of our zoning districts. However, may be applied for with site plan review special permit as noted in the following designated areas. Number 1 is brownfields. Number 2 is eligible landfills. Number 3 is sand and or gravel pits. Number 4 is canopy mounted solar energy facilities. Number 5 is public utility solar energy facilities. And number 6 would be ground mounted solar energy facilities within a farm or existing agricultural land.
Excuse me if I may interject. If you read the rest of that section, it may address some of the other comments that we've had, for example, from Mr. Manise. It was 250 kW and 5,000 kW are allowed subject to site plan review special permit in the R130, R60, CG, CS, IND, CR districts with those conditions. So it addresses the industrial district on those conditions. So it expands it to include the commercial, the industrial districts with those conditions. So that it does address Mr. Manise's concern.
So my question is, I'm pausing a little bit on the exemption for public utilities. Is that defined anywhere?
I believe it's in Article 16, but we can double check that.
Is it,
I'll check.
yeah, it's, the only reason that I bring this up is that I've looked a lot for definitions of public utilities within our bylaws and elsewhere.
Oh, you already looked in Article 16?
I can't say from memory that I've looked at that. What I am concerned about is a definition that, or reference without a definition. And we know that one of the projects that's been built in town and has been controversial is the project next to Wareham Crossing. It was built as a public utility project. And in looking at the history of that project, I think there has been a lack of clarity about what's covered there. And so I'm raising this as something maybe to think a little bit more about. However, I'm comforted by the fact that if it is a public utility project, it would be subject to site plan review special permit. So it would not in any way be exempt from review by this board as I read this. Is that correct?
We did not define public utility in Article 16.
Yeah, you know, I would just say give this a little bit more thought and ask yourselves what in fact the intent and objective is here. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think I actually do see a definition for public utility. It's stated
Where is it?
I thought there was one, but I went to Article 16 alphabetically and I didn't find it.
Yeah, forgive me, my word is not being helpful right now. It's identified on screen 58 of 566, which does not help any of you at all. I don't know what's wrong with my Microsoft Word right now.
Okay.
But I could at least read you the definition. It's stated as any person, firm, corporation, municipal department, or board duly authorized to furnish and furnishing under the state or municipal regulations to the public electricity, gas, steam, communication, telegraph, transportation, or water.
Okay, so interesting circular definition there.
Yeah.
Would then a solar company become a public utility?
Right.
Under that definition?
Person included, yeah.
So, all
Needs
right.
work.
Yeah, needs more thought, I would suggest.
Agreed.
I didn't see that definition when I did a quick scan. But, okay, so if you want to do a little more work on defining public utility or striking that exemption, we can continue this.
Do you need that, Josh?
Page 20, yeah.
Page 20 of which version of the bylaws?
Our.
Oh, that's following the use table. That's where that is.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah, we do definitions after the use table as well. We have definitions all over the place. We're trying to improve our zoning bylaws. We have funds to do that.
Yes, we do.
I know where to look now.
Sorry, Sam, I missed that.
Do you need more time, or should we close the hearing?
That's,
Are you going to do any more work on it? Or,
if you would like me to review what the public utility definition is.
see if it becomes circular?
Right.
Okay.
So, yeah, I would
Given how
suggest
broad it
continuing.
is,
I'll look into this.
Okay.
it's really quite
So we're not
broad,
gonna
that
close it.
definition.
A motion to continue till the 14th?
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a motion to continue the public hearing,
BDOT.
solar bylaw in the BDOT district to the 14th by Sam Corbett,
Second?
second by Ms. Moran. Ms. Gleason?
Jane Gleason, aye.
She said aye.
Oh, you said aye, I didn't hear it. Mike? I couldn't hear it that time either. Did you say aye? Thank you.
Julie Moran, aye.
Sam Corbett, aye.
And the chair votes aye. This public hearing is continued until the 14th. You have to,
But we're not going to do this whole thing over again.
what? No, well, we have to, if it's a public hearing, it's a public hearing, so. Josh, did you read the article?
I read
for
both of them, yeah.
Both of them, okay. So I'm looking for a motion to open the public hearing on the article to enact an accessory dwelling unit bylaw and remove the moratorium.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Corbett, by
Second.
Ms. Moran, all in favor?
Jane Gleason, aye.
Mike Baptiste, aye.
Julie?
Sorry, Julie Moran, aye.
Sam Corbett, aye.
And the chair votes aye. The public hearing is now opened. Mr. Faraday, do you want to make opening remarks?
Yep. So, Julie was able to supply me with a version of the ADU bylaw that I would say was more clean. I think it more easily clarified the goal of what the bylaw is. And I would also like to state that we had sent a copy of the bylaw to the Attorney General for her review. I think the Attorney General's office, in recognizing that more than one community was struggling with this, had basically opened up a line of communication for municipalities to send these bylaws for their review. So I had sent them a version. Globally, it was accepted, except for a requirement that we had for that stated if there were 4 bedrooms within a house, 2 of the bedrooms could be converted to the ADU use. Her response to that was, you cannot condition the interior of a property under protected uses. So we have since removed that that requirement from the ADU bylaw. What I have presented to the planning board now, and I will share my screen and I can quickly walk through it. Let's see. Okay, so starting with our use table, anywhere you see the letter Y, accessory dwelling units are allowed by right. These have been identified as anywhere single-family residents are currently allowed by right in the town of Wareham. Accessory dwelling units multiple, We are still requiring that they have a site plan, a special permit in front of the zoning board of appeals. So that's any lot that would like to install multiple accessory dwelling units requires that additional line of approval through the zoning board of appeals. There is some language changes to the definitions. There is a new note added to Table 6 talking about maximum gross floor area. But moving on to the actual bylaw, we identify a purpose, and then we go into definitions. We identify accessory dwelling unit. We identify bus station. Quickly, bus station is an important definition because the state identifies a bus station to include any route that allows for flag stopping, with which our GATRA allows for flag stopping currently, which means that there would be an additional regulation placed or restriction of a municipality placed on any properties within a half mile of a bus station or a flagging route. So we've identified commuter rail station. We've identified the definition of corporation and real estate investment trust. Those definitions, including short-term rental, become important under one of the requirements that I'll speak about now. So moving on. Requirements: only one accessory dwelling unit shall be allowed per lot as of right. Number 2, the footprint of a new detached accessory dwelling unit cannot exceed that of the principal dwelling. Number 3, the size of the accessory dwelling unit shall be limited to 50% of the gross floor area of the principal structure, or 900 square feet, whichever is smaller. Number 4, there shall be one off-street parking space per ADU, except no additional off-street parking spaces will be necessary when the lot is within a half a mile to a commuter rail or bus station. That is governed by state law, and that's why it's important that we had identified what the bus station was. To give a little context to that, GATRA has a stop at the Onset Pier, and they also have a stop at the Canal Bridge in Bourne. So just looking at those two stops, it's very likely that their route runs through Onset, and this state mandated requirement says we cannot require off-street parking within a half a mile. We foresee that as being an issue with parking in an already congested area, but we have no legal right to restrict it. Number 5, maintaining a separate entrance either directly from the outside or through an entry hall or corridor shared with the principal dwelling is sufficient to meet the state building code requirements for safe egress. Number 6, you may recall that this was located in a different section, but we have moved it into requirements. The density and dimensional regulations are otherwise determined by the underlying zoning district. And then number 7 and number 8 are important to the fact on why we have defined short-term rentals, why we have defined corporation, and why we have identified what a real estate investment trust is. Number 7 says, no person or other legal entity shall operate a rental or short-term rental without obtaining a certificate of registration from the Board of Health. The Board of Health Regulations, Section 13, rental properties. That's already in effect today. We just wanted to clarify that for people looking into accessory dwelling units as a rental property. And then number 8 is short-term rentals are prohibited in dwelling units owned by a corporation, real estate investment trust, or any similar entity which pools funds from investors and is engaged primarily in investment activities. We go on to say short-term rentals are permitted in dwelling units owned by an LLC, a trust, or an S-corp, only when every shareholder, partner, or member of the legal entity is a natural person, as established by a documentation provided by the applicant at time of registration. So the goal of, I'll say the goal of that is, and has been, to keep investment trusts or corporations from buying a lot, establishing an ADU, and driving out available housing for Wareham residents. The concern is that a corporation comes in, establishes an ADU, and rents out both dwelling units as some type of investment. What we have established will allow for residents to rent out ADUs on their own property if they so choose, and it also allows for maybe individuals that own multiple lots in Wareham to do the same. This really just restricts corporations, real estates, who pool funds for investment opportunities.
Thank you. Any discussion from the board?
Can you describe as of right? That seems to be the biggest problem we have with this issue. People think that they can do it.
Yeah, so as of right is exactly that. It means you can do it within the zoning that's identified. It does not allow you to ignore, and I'll give you the short list, but it's definitely not all of them. It does not give you the right to ignore the building code. It does not give you the right to ignore FEMA regulations. It does not give you the right to ignore the Board of Health and their septic requirements.
Title V.
Title V, yep. It does not give you the right to ignore the electrical code, the plumbing code. So if you, this is not your ability to construct something and immediately start renting it without getting prior approvals from the necessary departments.
I just made
Josh,
sure.
did you include Conservation Commission? I think that's
So,
important for people to understand.
yeah, so we are not giving a list of this is everyone you have to appeal to.
Right.
The Conservation Commission is notified under a building permit as part of their review. But you are correct. It is a requirement that if you are in the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission, you will seek an application through that board as well.
I just wanted to make that clear. That seemed to be the biggest issue they
Yeah.
had with it.
Right.
Any, Mike?
One of the things that seems a little gray, so if I own, say, 20 properties in town, I can put 20 units on my 20 properties. Isn't that kind of defeating the whole purpose?
Are you talking about the short-term rental prohibition for corporations?
Oh,
Well, I guess it depends on how you own those properties. If you own them as an individual, there's no restriction. If you own them as an LLC, if you own them as a trust, there's no restriction.
you know, when you say LLCs are pretty dangerous. It, opens up, it's a bag of worms, it really is. Who's gonna police it?
So the quote-unquote policing of it is that the,
Honor system.
so right now, the Board of Health has a rental application, and at time of that application, you would provide documentation establishing how the property is owned.
I think it's, well, like I said, the thing that really bothers me is I might decide tomorrow and I'm gonna buy up every property I can, say maybe 20, 30 properties, and it's been a pretty good position.
I think, Mike, what you're saying is you could have an LLC, and you could have a group of individuals who are investors,
Sure.
but they're individuals, natural people, natural persons in town or elsewhere.
Sure, and I would say this stance isn't taken in a lot of communities. It is taken in a few, and that's where we've identified how to establish this regulation. It's not, I would say it's not something that we I didn't come up with it laying in bed one night. This is something that works and has already been established. But it's not going to be perfect. And perfect is defined by, the goal that you're trying to accomplish.
I think there's too many holes in it myself. Like I said, that's the way I feel about it, because, people sit in bed all day long and just think of these abstract ways of manipulating the system. A good example is there's corporations out there right now in the country buying up every piece of property they can. Mobile homes. Because, there's a lot of people live in them areas. They come and they buy it, they can do it anything they want to do. It seems like the country's swinging towards the 1%ers are controlling everything, and everybody else is worker bees, and things are out of proportion. Federal government screwed up, the state's not any better, and
Yep. I would say that this is Wareham's approach to try to keep residents of Wareham in Wareham.
makes me nervous.
Anything else, Mike, or you want to?
No, that's it. No.
Ms. Gleason, any comment? Jane?
None at this time.
Thank you. Okay, so public comment, raise your hand if you're in the room. Anybody in the ether with their hand up, John?
Not at this time.
Not at this time. Anyone in the room wish to speak to this? Brenda, you said you wanted to speak.
I did.
Peter, you got to come up and say anything. And Jim Muniz just raised his hand as well.
We can have change talk first.
Okay, so Mr. Manias, if you could introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, I had to take my mute off. Jim Manise, 2526 Cranberry Highway, M-U-N-I-S-E. First, are the draft bylaws online for me to view?
This was a late edit. They will be up tomorrow, Jim.
And they will be on what site?
The planning board website as well. The town is looking to move to a new website. So if in time, it will be posted to both websites when the new one
Okay, so
comes
tomorrow will
live.
be on the planning board website under proposed bylaw changes, or?
Correct.
Okay, because I couldn't find it, but thank you for that. Much of what's in here is pretty much reflects on what the state law and regulations are. And I am a little concerned, as a previous speaker said about LLCs and realty trusts and being exempted and not being exempted from development of it, as the real estate investment trust or corporations are. Like they said, you can have 10 people in a real estate trust and buy up lots. But you don't have to, as the owner, you don't have to live on the property and put up multiple accessory dwelling units. So I think that there should be some clarity on that, or not allow those entities, LLCs and realty trusts, to do the ADUs, but they'd have to go through a variance, pretty much, I guess, how they would do now. But other than that, I mean, I thought the state did a good job, and I don't see anything offensive with this, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are you ready?
Yes, Brenda Ekstrom, 64 White Tunis Ave. I was going to comment the same as Jim, saying that I couldn't find it. I only found the old ones for proposed bylaws. And so I would ask if you would continue this to the 14th, so that because I was trying to even read it from there and I couldn't, so that I could have a chance to look at it. And because like even the part about accessory dwelling units multiple, there's nothing in the state law that says that you can allow multiple. It just says an accessory dwelling unit. So I think like even with that, just say no, that we don't need to have multiple. If you have a house, whether you're an LLC, whether you're, whatever, if you have a house, you can have an accessory dwelling unit. We shouldn't allow multiple ones. So things like that, and I'm just looking at this particular one. And when I said I was coming up, it was because I had heard rumor that, going to Mr. Corbett's comments, that I had heard, someone had told me that people were gonna have to come up in front of a board, which is something that I had said at town meeting, that this is as of right, which you're absolutely right. That doesn't mean anyone can just start doing it. It means you have to go to the building department, you have to go apply for a permit, get the plumbing permit, electrical permit, just like you would do if you were putting an addition on your house, and follow the laws just like you would with anything else. It just means you don't have to go in front of a board and ask for special permission for it, but you do have to follow all of the codes. So thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Corbett, to clarify that for people. And that was what I was coming for. So when I saw that written up there at the beginning, I knew I didn't have to bring that up. So, but I would ask you if you could leave it till the 14th so that I have a chance to read it. And I'd be able to make comments then. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Josh, or John, anyone else in the ether?
Not at this time.
Hearing no requests for comment in the audience and none from the ether, I would look for, you wanted to continue this, yes?
Yeah, the reason I would request that you continue it to your March 24th hearing.
Oh, March 24th, not the 14th?
The 14th is in 4 days.
April 14th.
Oh,
Oh, that's what we had continued the other one to.
Yeah.
you continued Faring Hill to the 14th.
No, we continued the solar bylaw to the 14th of April.
Sorry,
did both.
Sorry, you're correct.
Well, yes, yeah, Fearing Hill as well, but yes.
Yeah, April 14th would be fine. In surprising fashion, the state is giving a lecture on what a proposed bylaw could look like tomorrow. So I'm hoping to attend that, maybe take something from it, and if I do take anything from it, maybe it would be beneficial to continue to your March 24th meeting.
So do you want to revisit the solar one as well? I mean, we only were
Well, we already
continuing.
voted on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we can revisit that.
Yeah, yep.
I don't want to have, that would give us multiple public hearings, I mean, if we want to keep them together, and there's not that much left on the solar. So you want March 24th?
Well, I think if I gain any
I'm
any
just-
good knowledge from this tomorrow, it might be beneficial to have a public hearing about it
Okay.
sooner rather than later.
All right, and Ms. Ekstrom, would March 24th give you enough time? Sure. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to continue the accessory dwelling unit public hearing to March 24th.
So moved.
Motion by Sam Corbett,
Second?
a second by Julie Moran. Ms. Gleason?
Jane Gleason, aye.
Mr. Baptiste, aye.
Julie Moran, aye.
Sam Corbett, aye.
And the chair votes aye. So 500, we will continue this public hearing until March 24th. Now, do we want to revisit continuing of the solar?
Might as well keep them both
The
together.
same night.
Yeah. So I would look for a motion to,
We'll have to look at what Sherry had raised.
that will be enough time to look at the definition of public utility.
Yeah.
I believe, Sal, this is Sherry Quirk again. I think the special town meeting warrant closes on April 1st, too, so.
Okay, all right, so I would look for a motion to rescind the previous vote to continue the solar, the public hearing on the solar over BDOD and continue it to
24th.
March 24th. March 24th.
Makes sense with the,
I have a motion from Sam Corbett to rescind the previous vote and to replace it with a continuation of the solar in the BDOD district to March 24th. A motion by Sam Corbett, second.
Julie Moran.
A second by Julie Moran. Ms. Gleason?
Jane Gleason, aye.
Mr. Baptiste?
Baptiste, aye.
Julie?
Sorry. Julie Moran, aye.
Sam Corbett, aye.
And the chair votes aye, so the motion passes 500. The solar, both of the public hearings on the zoning bylaws have been continued to March 24th. Okay, thank you. All right, continuing with our agenda. Josh, anything new coming up?
There was a plan for an A&R submitted to the planning office today. I haven't had an opportunity to look at it, but it would be a pending application. And then we also received communication from Clearway Energy about the TRC decommissioning bond that they had provided to the planning board. We had asked them to expand on their cost estimates provided by TRC because we didn't feel they aligned with what the goal of what we had given them. And they had just communicated with me that they've reached out to TRC to expand on those. So.
Great. And what is the status of Zero Maple Springs?
So we are waiting for a determination from the building commissioner. As you know, in the 2019 bylaws, which that project had a zoning freeze for, there is a question about the property line that runs through the middle of the project. If it requires a variance, then we would need to put this in front of the zoning board, not the planning board. So we are waiting for the building commissioners, I'll say, it's called the denial letter, but that's what we are currently waiting for.
Okay, perfect. Wait. All right. Moving forward. Any liaison reports?
Have we got any work on the 53G?
I haven't done any additional since the 20 or so that we identified.
I'm still gonna move forward on it.
Okay. Julie, any update on our?
Nope.
Rewrite, okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're working on a draft of the RFP.
RFP,
Yeah.
okay, great. Any other comment, board member comment? Hearing none, I'm looking for a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn from Sam Corbett at 7:47. A second?
Second?
By Julie Moran, all in favor?
Jane Gleason, aye.
Mike Baptiste, aye.
Julie Moran, aye.
Sam Corbett, aye.
And the chair votes aye. This meeting is closed. Thank you for coming out and speaking.